I know this isn't exactly what you would expect to see on a fountain pen channel, but this is something I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about. And it's a printer I recently purchased a couple months ago, and it's an Epson EcoTank 8550. And well, um, I'm an artist. I'm a visual artist. I paint pictures and stuff like that. And um, I was thinking I'd make some cards, and I wanted to sort of have control over the process, and be able to print off, maybe do some little booklets or some, if I'm having a sale or an exhibition, something that I can use to print up some images, a catalog or something like that. And I was online doing some research, looking for an affordable uh, printer. And this is not by any means an inexpensive printer. But when I say affordable, why I went with the Epson EcoTank uh, is, in the long run, I believe this will save me a lot of money. Now, what I'm making is cards, and maybe some catalogs or some little booklets and things like that. I'm not making prints that I'm going to sell, say, in a high-end art gallery somewhere. I'm not a photographer who needs to do a high quality print of my photograph or even my paintings. I might actually eventually do some small reproductions of my paintings, but they will be what they are. They're just going to be, an art print. They're not going to be a high-end art piece. And this is the machine I decided to go with. If I wanted to do, say, high-end photography, I would have gone with a completely different machine. Epson makes all types of different printers. They have, you know, their highest end printer, for instance. If you open it up, you'll find cartridges, and it's pigment-based. And there's literally a dozen or more cartridges in there. But this has, rather than using cartridges, it has ink reservoirs right here, and there are only 6 of them. And the interesting thing about this, though, is that I get very good reproduction quality for what I'm doing. I don't want it to be, I'm not worried about it being perfect. I'm making a card. I'm making a inexpensive reproduction. I'm not making something that I'm going to ever sell for hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. And this suits my needs quite well. The other thing I like about this is it's actually a fairly small, there's my hand, it's a fairly small printer. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's very easy to use. I'm not going to show you it printing right now because, oddly enough, I use an app on my phone to uh, control. I could probably use this, but I'm not going to get into that. There's a little, keypad right here, but I'm not going to do it right now. I use my smartphone. I downloaded an Epson app for this printer, and from there I can set the paper qualities. I can set the sizes and numbers I'm printing, or I can set the quality from a standard to a high-end quality. The higher quality, of course, takes more inks, prints a little slower. Usually I just have it on standard because that's all I need. And it works very well for me. The initial cost is like, it's like any printer, it's over $1,000. But because I'm using reservoirs and bottled ink, bottled inks, I'm saving quite a bit of money because, yes. So what happens is the ink, rather than being in a cartridge, is in a bottle. You open it up and you find, this is my yellow, and it's this will more than fill the reservoir here. So there'll be a little bit of ink left over. I'm still on my first bottles. I've printed quite a few cards and different things, and I have barely really, I still have most of my ink. Like, it's quite remarkable, actually. And I'm just going to give you a little run through and talk about other little features on it, about the printer. Now, as you see, there's a front tray, and the paper that I use feeds down the back and it comes out the front here. Now, also underneath this, if I pull this out, there's another tray. I'm just going to close this. Oh, open front cover. Under here, there's another tray with paper. I'm going to just try to close that. I should have done that earlier. Out tray. I'm going to close the out tray. And under here is standard paper. I can also put, photo papers, things in there that I use. But this is just regular paper for, if I'm just doing a photocopy, essentially. There's another tray here for smaller items, right here. So that, and I haven't used that. You could probably print, I believe, CDs and things like that. Now, I'm not going to show you from the back, but you can take the back, part of the back off and feed a larger piece of paper through of a certain thickness. I have never done that, and I'm not going to do that because this is pretty much just what I need. I'm using, right now I'm just using satin premium quality photo paper to make my cards. Oddly enough, at the moment, there's a paper shortage. And, I'm going online and looking for information, and oddly enough, the best price I've found so far is just buying photo paper locally here of the premium quality. And it works perfectly for me. That's all I need. Just gonna close that. This slides back in. And that goes up. Everything seals up really nicely. Now, the printer also has a scanner right here, which is great. I can put a small item there, legal size piece of paper. I can scan artwork of a certain size, different things like that. What I usually do is use my phone to take an image of my paintings. I put it through, we put it through Photoshop, and I email it to myself, and then from there I just open the email and the app the app opens up, and I can, communicate from my phone with the printer quite easily. So it works quite well. Paper size, I believe, is 13 by 19. There's adjustable slots back, adjustable guides back there, and it works quite well. Now, one of the things that I was kind of worried about when I got it was thinking, oh, bottles. What if I mix up the colors and make a big mess? But the great thing about it is they thought about that, and each color has a specific shaped nozzle that only will fit into the reservoir of the color. So you can't say put a yellow in the red. You can't put a black in the blue by accident or anything like that. So that's very safe that way. You don't have to worry about it. And you take you take the cap off, and when you tip it up, you put it on the filling mechanism. It opens the bottle, and it will drain into the reservoir, but it stops when it's full, so it doesn't overflow. So that's another feature that it has. So you can't, I'm sure somebody could figure a way to make a mess and overfill it, but you can't overfill the reservoir. It'll stop when it's full, which is another great thing, because I am the type of person, if that wasn't a feature, I would overfill the reservoir. It's just how I work. Now, as I said, I'm using photo paper, and I'm getting good results. I'm quite happy with it. I am going to do some reproductions of small prints, and I will use, there are different inkjet. This is an inkjet printer, by the way, I should say that. Yeah, I will use inkjet artist quality papers to do some finer prints. But and once again, I'm not worried too much about the quality of the print. Well, I am worried about the quality of the print, but I'm not worried about it being exact to the original. Right? If I wanted it to be exact to the original, I would have bought a far more expensive printer that had cartridges and stuff like that. Now, the colors that it has in the reservoir, there are two blacks. One's a pigment and one's a dye-based. Also has a gray, a photo gray, I believe you would call it. And then it uses cyan, magenta, and yellow. That's right here. So from those colors, I get good results. Here's an original painting I recently did. I'm just going to show you. Yes, kind of fun, silly painting. And here is just a test print that I did. As you can see, the blues are a little brighter in the card. I'm not too worried about that. But the yellows turned out quite good, I think. And for a reduction in scale, I got good definition of the details. And I think it worked out quite well. And for me, that's because it's just a card. You're not buying the original. This is very good for me, right? So, and as you can see, this is glossy. So I was just doing a test. I just used the glossy. I tend to prefer satin. Satin gives me a better result for what I'm doing. Or, it's just a nicer look. Here's a satin image. You can't really tell. Or actually, that's gloss too. Sorry, I'm lying. Yeah, or all I have is gloss. Oh, here's a satin one. Yeah, that's a satin image right there. As you can see, the glossy is very glossy, and the satin just looks a little nicer to my eye, and I like it. So now, because I'm using photo paper, there are a couple issues. Now, you can get it in matte, satin, and glossy. The matte works out quite well. There is one major problem for me with the matte paper. And it is quite simply that as a fountain pen person, I find it isn't exactly, actually that's better than I thought it would be. It isn't exactly the most fountain pen friendly paper. As you can see, it's, not really working as well, but that could be the pen maybe. Anyway, actually that's working a lot better than I thought it would. I had tried it in a couple different colors. I'm just going to get another pen and show you a brighter color and explain what happened. I found that with the matte, certain colors tended to bleed more than I liked. As you can see, that right there bleeds quite a bit on and that's the red. Now that was platinum carbon black, and it worked okay. It skipped a bit on the paper. So the matte paper isn't what I would call particularly fountain pen friendly. And as a person that loves fountain pens, that's a little bit of a problem for me. It works okay, say, with a ballpoint. I know that. Oddly enough, I don't have a ballpoint. Oh well, I was looking for one. It actually works okay with a Sharpie. I don't know if you can see that. I should try to get the image in there. So yeah, it works okay with a Sharpie. So that's okay. Now, I did find that the satin paper, and even the glossy paper to an extent, works a lot better with fountain pens. The one tip I would give you was to allow the ink to dry, depending on what ink you're using. So, that works quite well for me. That works quite well for me. Then it works well with a Sharpie. And let's see if the carbon I think my carbon black needs to be cleaned or something. Oh, it works better. Yeah. Yeah, no, that works well too. Um, it'd be nice if I had the card in the shot when I was doing that. Yeah. Now, looking online, there are different companies making papers. You can get pre-folded cards, of course, for inkjet printers. I haven't done that because, oddly enough, I found the cost of the pre-folded cards is no better than just buying a box of, you know, uh, ultra premium photo paper. The reason I'm using ultra premium is it's 300 grams per square meter, or whatever they call it. So it's a heavyweight paper, and it works quite well. Standard photo paper, even premium photo paper, tends to be a bit lighter. And for a greeting card, you want at least you want a heavier paper. And it's just a better product. It's a little bit more stable when it's standing up and things like that. Now, oddly enough, looking at the photo paper that's matte, I probably could make just a simple reproduction using that sometime. I should do a test to see how durable the paper and the printing is. But when you're doing like an inexpensive reproduction that's not in any way original artwork, they do change over time. So I'm not too worried about that. But so far, I'm really enjoying this printer. It's doing very well for what I need. And, I'll be exploring more papers over the next little while. I've been looking online. I did a lot of different things, and there's some papers that I'll try. I'm not using Epson branded photo paper because, oddly enough, it has the Epson logo in all across the back of the paper, so it doesn't work for me. I've been looking online and trying to find out different brands, and I think Canon also has its logo and name, and across the back of its photo paper, so that isn't good for me either. But the no name, well, actually, it's Staples is what it is. It's Staples photo paper, and it has a blank page. It has a blank back, so it's good for a greeting card. Oddly enough, the matte photo paper, you can print on either side. So actually, if I was doing a little booklet or a catalog using the photo paper, of a lighter weight, Staples lighter weight photo paper, might actually work well. Now, like I said, we seem to be in a paper shortage at the moment, and so I've been, running out and buying paper at Staples, but sometimes I've had to order it online because you walk out and there's no paper in the store. That's just part of the supply chain and the hangover from COVID, all kinds of things like that. Every now and then you find things hard to get. But yeah, it's a great thing to work with. I love it. Just allows me to have some control over what I'm doing. And I'm still experimenting. I might make a little book sometime, next time I'm doing an exhibition or something like that, or a pop-up sale, or maybe just do a book on it, just to have. I'm always trying new things. I should show you. I'm going to just power it off, and I'll show you where the ink goes. There's yeah. So you lift up this lever, this cover, and of course you got your scanner. You lift this part, and that allows you access to where the ink goes, and it's right here. So as you can see, there's two blacks, then there's the color, and then there's a gray. Now, one thing about this, if you have to move the printer, there's a little lever in here that you just move over here, and that secures the printer so it doesn't splash around or anything like that. And then I just close that up, and everything's good to go. Yeah, so that for me is the product that made most sense, and I'm quite happy with it. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, I'm inviting you to subscribe. I'm not really a tech guy. I'm a fountain pen guy. So this channel mostly is about fountain pens, but I also do other things too, things that are going on in my life. I do art sometimes and books, but mostly fountain pens and notepads, and of course, and notebooks and paper and things like that. And inks, we do inks. And this has ink in it, not fountain pen ink, of course. You know, it has Epson. The ink it takes is 8552. That's the one that you have to use with this. Um, Everything is carefully labeled, of course, so you don't get you don't get any confusion when you're buying it. Just make sure you know the number, and you're good to go. And anyway, if you're new around here, I invite you to join the channel. I try to get a couple videos out every week. And what printer do you have? Do you print, if you're an artist, do you print your own cards, or do you go to a commercial printer? I could easily go to a commercial printer, but what I'm aiming at is having a bit of control of what I'm doing. And if I do a painting and I want to do a card for it, I just do a card. If I sell the painting, I can print up a card for whoever buys the painting. It's kind of a nice little thing to do. Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.